Hello everyone, and first of all I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule today to watch this webinar on how we're going to basically make a website from scratch, and it's not as hard as what it first sounds. So if you haven't connected already with me on Twitter, I am at Twitter at Mr. Adam PE, and I've been on this Google sort of adventure where I've in the past 12 months become a Google innovator, a Google trainer, and really key down, I'm a teacher at heart. I've taught physical education now for well over 10 years, and it's been a pleasure. And now I'm helping other educators, as well as still being in the classroom, get better at their own craft. So first of all, why do you want to create a website? What's it all about? For me, it was more of a place where we could put everything together and have that sort of one-stop shop where everything was there. So we'd either have a school site. In the past, I've created a department site where members of staff have had their own sort of segments. For example, I've seen Duke of Edinburgh sites where everything's been put on, from enrolment forms to even a map of where the kids were going to be travelling. It could be a class site where students can see what they're going to be doing in their next activity, giving them questions outside of the classroom, using a sport education model where we're looking at bringing different aspects in. So you might have your reporter, you might have the class photos, you might have all documents that students need within folders, all on the same website. In the past, personally, I've used them for student portfolios where students from grades 9 or years 9 all the way through have managed to keep an online portfolio of their own work. But probably one of the best ways of looking at it for the UK market is looking at how can we create something for our GCSE or BTEC or A level, and create a site that allows our students to access the content from home, and we also able to put it into our own context and our own school context where we can look at how we can improve them. So this one-stop shop is really going to be how I try to run things when I'm creating a Google website, and it's important that you think about that sort of backwards process. What is the end goal you want from creating this website? And then work backwards, and we'll look at the stages of what we're going to include on the website. So one of the things that I do like about Google Sites is it's accessible on all devices. There's no real messing around. So it can be accessed on an iPad, your tablets, your phones, your computers, and there's no messing around with making sure text sizes are correct for a mobile device, for a laptop. So it's a brilliant way of them really looking quite sharp and smart on all devices. We can literally grab every little bit of Google, so we can incorporate Google Forms, we can put docs in there, PDFs, anything that we want that's in our Google Drive can all be within our Google site. And what I really like, especially when I'm doing something like a sport education model, is collaborating with other students. So we have a site for our class, and then you can give them editorial features. So they might be part of the publishing team, for example. And all you need to do is add them to share that with it, or it could be your department that you want to share, so all your department has the same amount of access that they can all edit their own little bits as and when needed. So if you've never been on Google Sites before, probably the best way of getting to it is if you load up your Google Chrome, if you click the 9 sort of squares in the top right hand corner, you will see down here we've got sites. Or if you're in your Google Drive, you can click new and you'll see these sort of options. If you click more and then go down to Google Sites. There are 2 ways. Your third way is straight from your browser. Just type in sites.google.com/new. And what I'm going to do is ask you to try and watch along. But if you feel confident enough to be able to do 2 things at once, maybe give it a go of trying to create something at the same time, and we can share it with one another at the end of this webinar. So once you first get there, it might look something a little similar to this. it will give you an option to go back to the classic sites, and that is where Google Sites used to be. It was more of a classic sites, and I have a few sites that I created. Now we've sort of transformed over. It looks a lot easier to manage, and it literally is a drag and drop. Now if you typed in sites.google.com and your web page looks something like this, just click the new Google Sites, because we're going to be working in the new Google Sites this evening. So your first port of call is to click the red plus button. And you should look something like this. So I'm going to come out of this presentation now, and I'm going to work with you within my own site. So your site should look something like this to start with. So we're going to go through it step by step. So first one, I want you to give it a title. So I'm going to call it, this is going to be my GCSE page. And I'm going to enter my site name. So it's going to be Year 10 GCSE Theory. Now what I can do is I can add a logo. And what it means is, as you can see up here, these sort of logos, when people open it on their computers, they'll have a little logo. So you might want to put your school logo in there, for example. Let's see if I've got anything that I can put in. I can search Google, so let's go for I'm going to select this heart from my logo. See if it'll let me. Perfect. And keep the background, we're going to go black, so I'll keep that dark colour. Great, so now I've got my logo, got the site ready, I've got my GCSE page. Now I can change the header type in here, so I can decide if it's going to be title only, it's going to be a banner, so you can put an image at the back, or if it's going to be a lot larger. Personally I prefer the old banner, so I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to change the image. So in here you can either upload your own image or you can select an image. And there are already some different backgrounds that you can already use. So I'm just going to go for a very basic, I like that. Sort of brainstorming, I'm a big fan of post-it notes when I teach. Great, so we've got our sort of site already and it's starting to take shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import a text box, and it's literally click the text box and it'll load a text box up. Now what I can do is I can resize it, and I'm going to decide that I only want half a page here. And you can have a sort of welcome page. I also want to put an image in there, and the reason I've put it half because I want the image actually in this part here. So I'm going to click images. I'm going to do a quick search for, keep it on the cardio scheme. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to drag this up into this section here. I can resize that if needed. Now this is now a sort of banner that we can also change the colour, and we can rearrange it or we can duplicate it. So if I want to duplicate this section, it will come underneath. And if I want to delete a section, very easily. I'm going to click here and I can now decide on how I want it to look. So what I do find is these sections, it's quite good to break them up into different shades if needed, and sometimes I put an image behind them. So I'm just going to give that a sort of grey colour. Now it's starting to take shape, but I want to change the theme now. So what Google Sites gives you is a number of different things. So we're currently on the simple theme, but I'm going to actually go to the vision theme. Yeah, it looks a little bit more bold, a little bit more ready. And I'm going to click this nice red colour. And I'm going to choose the font style. So I'm going to go for a modern look. And that's all in the theme. So you can decide what theme you want and what sort of colours you want to be using within your own site. I'm going to go back to the insert now. So we've got our first sort of welcome page, and if you wanted to, you could keep everything within the same page, or you can add additional pages. Me personally, I prefer to have a sort of home page or a welcome page, and then pages that go off that. So if we go to pages and click add page, and we'll call this unit 1. So what you'll notice now, it's actually giving us a header up here where we can obviously work through. So if I go to my unit 1 and I go back to insert, I'm going to put an image in here. We'll go So now we've got a little section on the respiratory system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the other options we've got. So within our text box, we can resize it. Now if I wanted to move that, I can just maybe move it over to this side. Now I might want to change this sort of text. So what I'm going to do is click up here and click either title, heading, subheading. There we go. Now I'm still not quite happy with that. I actually want this above the picture, so I'm going to just pull it up here. I'm going to pull the picture underneath. There we go. That's a bit better. And what I also want to do is this welcome here, I want to actually hyperlink this. So I can hyperlink it by clicking here. So you might have a PDF already related to Unit 1. You might have a video ready to flip the learning. So if you click in here to insert the link, and you can copy and paste the link from anywhere on the web. Or you might want to put it to just a general sports page. Now we can also stick a divider in there if needed, just to split the page up. And then we might have something already in our Google Drive. So let's go to shared with me. So here are a few examples from my Google drawings that I've done before. So I'm going to actually insert this Google drawing into my site. So now I've got that drawing, so that could be the student's piece of work that they've already submitted, or it could just be something that I've put together myself. So the website's now starting to take a little bit of shape. What I might also want to do is put a folder in there. So I might want to put this folder in. Insert. And the reason you might want to put a folder in is just really for ease. I've got a couple of different training classes here that I've already got from my Google Classroom. And what I might want to do is change the way that this folder looks. So I might have a list view, but my personal preference is a grid view. And the reason for that is it starts to look like icons then, like this. So what you could do is you could have a folder, you could put a number of images in there, for example, and they would come up just like icons. You could put documents in that folder, anything you wanted to put on the website that would be able to be used. So that's by putting your drive in. Now we might want a YouTube clip going in as well. So if we now look up see what YouTube is. Okay, so we've got a crash course in A&P here. I'll go for this 3-minute one. So we've now got a YouTube clip on our website as well. Perfect. Now I'm still not quite happy with that, so I want to try and actually pull it up here. There we go. So now I've got the diagram, I've got a little video, and any sort of documents that I want to put in are actually going to be here in my Google folder. So there's my Unit 1. I'm quite happy with my Unit 1 now. I want to add another page. I want to add an assessment calendar. So I'm going to go back to Pages and click Plus Page. I'm going to call it Assessment to start with. This is going to be sort of the assessment home page. And then I'm going to add another page which is going to be the assessment calendar. Now what I can do here is I can make this assessment calendar, rather than be up here like it is now, we can bring it under the assessment title. So if I click here, create a subpage and then call it assessment calendar. Okay, so now I've got my home, I've got my Unit 1, I've got my assessment, and I've got the assessment calendar. Perfect. So let's stick a calendar in there. So all I'm going to do is come down and embed a calendar. So you might have a number of different calendars. Click this one. And within that calendar you might have a number of things. So you might have, for example, all the different assessments. You might have key dates that are important for your different classes. You might have times where students can come book an appointment with you. There's lots of different alternatives you can have. Now you can currently see that this is how it goes in straight away. It's an agenda view, but if you want to change that to week or month, if you just click the settings and then we can click the view mode, and personally I prefer the week. And then students or parents can see what's going on for that 1 week. Now, say for example you're using other things outside of Google. We're going to come back to our Unit 1 and we might be using, for example, I'm a big fan of using Padlet within teaching. So you might want to embed a URL. So in here you would put your link to be embedded. So here's one I made earlier. I'm just going to paste this in. It'll then give me the whole page or a preview and actually link the whole page in. So now I've got a Padlet in there as well. So let's have a preview of this website. Let's see how it's looking. So we'll go to the home page. And here's our GCSE page. As you can see, we've now got our icon up here. And this is how it would look on a desktop. click these at the bottom, how it would look to a student or a parent on a tablet, and then same on a mobile device. So if I go to Unit 1 where we've got a little bit more information, we can then be scrolling down and looking through the different options. Okay, so let's go back to desktop view. And remember, this is still in the view only, so this is how it would look to somebody using our site. Go to the assessment calendar, load up this week's calendar. And to get out of that, you're just going to click the X down here. Now at the moment, we've not published anything, so this is still in the design phases. Now you can also include a number of different docs down here. So for example, you might want to include Google Form to collect information from students. You might make it as a quiz. So all you do is click the Google Form, and if you've got any that are made, it will be here and you could click them. Let's see what I've got in my trainer account. I'll put the slides in there that we're looking at. Okay, insert the slides, and then students can follow along with the slideshow. And that's how I often teach when I'm using Google Slides in a theory classroom, is create a sort of one-stop shop. I might have the presentation that we're doing for that lesson, along with a number of hyperlinks across the side where students can easily access them. Now, if I wanted to add a collaborator to this page that we've got, I'll just come up here and add the editors, and then I could add in here and invite them to the site and ask them to edit certain pages. Could be a student that you ask to help update the PE website or PE notice board that's online. So now we've come to the time where we need to start thinking about how we're going to publish this, because at the moment it's just sat in my Google Drive and nobody can see it. So I'm going to come up here to the big publish button, and you'll notice that you have to come up with a web address, and you'll see that it has the sites.google.com, mradampe.com, and at the moment only me can see it. So anyone in my sort of establishment, so if you want to create a site that's within your school domain, you would keep it here. But if you want to publish it to the whole web, so everybody can have access to it and they don't have to be logged in, then you click anyone on the web. I'm going to request to public search engines don't display my site, and that's a personal preference, and then click publish. My site's been published successfully. Let's view the site. So here's my page. Got a presentation that's just loading. Go to Unit 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with you so you can have a quick brief look in the comments below. And that's really the sort of how to create a very quick Google site and start to think about different ways that you could use it. And what I'm really excited about is for you to create something and then let me have a look at it. Let me see what you create, because I feel that this sharing of knowledge helps us all to improve, and we can take this to our own schools, our own departments, and we can then make everybody better. So if I go back here, what I'd like you to do is, if you'd like a copy of today's slides, I'd like you to just go to gg.gg/mapbd, which is Mr. Adam PE digital badge. That's what those stand for, MapDB. Fill out your details and I will send you your first digital badge from me, along with a copy of today's slides. If I can be of any use, please get in touch with me. I look forward to seeing what you create, and I really do thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.